Good morning, guys. I cannot believe that it is May 1st. I last saw you in the middle of March and now we're starting May. It makes me a little bit sad. But on a positive note, May is one of my favorite months. So hopefully the weather keeps getting nicer and summer is on its way. That's a plus. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to try and draw a conclusion of like the main message or theme between two articles, but I don't want you to overthink it. I think once you read these two different passages, you're going to see the connection between them, and that's what the main message is. That's how we find like a similarity between two unrelated texts. So we're going to do that today. And of course, I'm going to model it for you like I always do to help show you how to do it. And then you're going to do the second text and finish up the note catcher. So to get started, you have today's morning check-in. It is the long one today. Also, remember, we do have our Zoom call at 1 o'clock. So if you want to hop on there and say hello, I will be there. I'll put the Zoom code into this assignment so you have it too. I haven't done that yet. But then you'll watch this video so you can see what I mean about how to draw a conclusion so you know how to do today's activity. And then you're going to read Achilles along with me, pay attention to what reading strategies I use, and then you'll apply the same thing reading Battle of the Brains, and you'll fill out this note catcher here. And like every day when I tell you, if you don't see it right here, then you need to click authorize, and then you will see everything that I have on my screen. All right? So let's get going. I've got my text open. This one is Achilles. If you've ever heard of Achilles' heel, this is the story about it. And this one is what you'll be doing, Battle of the Brains. All right, so Achilles was one of the greatest warriors and heroes in Greek mythology. So if you didn't know, this is already telling us the type of text. This is Greek mythology. I'm going to highlight our title. All right, Achilles' father was Peleus, king of the Myrmidons. I'm sorry if you know this and I'm butchering it. And his mother was Thetis, a sea nymph. After Achilles was born, his mother wanted to protect him from harm. She held him by the heel and dipped him into the river Styx. In Greek mythology, the river Styx was located in the underworld and had special powers. Achilles became invulnerable everywhere but at his heel where his mother held him. So this is the important story about him if you didn't know. So she held him by the heel and she dipped him into this special river that had powers. Now, if you have ever heard the word vulnerable, I'll even add a little comment here. So this is, we're doing like prefix suffix. So I know if you're vulnerable, it means that, I couldn't spell it right. Vulnerable means that you could get hurt. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Like, you don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to get hurt in a relationship. That's what vulnerable means. So if you're invulnerable, it means you will not get hurt. So invulnerable, not hurt. So now we kind of broke apart what that word means. So the only place he could get hurt was at his heel because his mom was holding him there, so it never got into the river. Because Achilles was half god, he was very strong and soon became a great warrior. However, he was also half human, and he was not immortal like his mother. He would get old and die someday, and he could also be killed. So this word immortal, if you don't know that, they just explained it to you. You might know the word mortal, so then that helps you know immortal. But if you go a little bit further, it says that he will get old and die someday. So if you're immortal, it means that you will die someday. If you're mortal, it means you will not die. So let's add another. We could have done vocab today, I guess. Let's see. So mortal, can't die. Immortal, will die. The Trojan War begins. When Helen, the wife of Greek king Menelaus, was taken to the Trojan prince Paris, the Greeks went to war to get her back. Achilles joined the battle and brought along a group of powerful soldiers called the Myrmidons. During the Trojan War, Achilles was unstoppable. He killed many of Troy's greatest warriors. However, the battle raged on for years. Many of the Greek gods were involved, some helping the Greeks and others helping the Trojans. At one point during the war, Achilles captured a beautiful princess named Briseis and fell in love with her. However, the leader of the Greek army, Agamemnon, became angry with Achilles and took Briseis from him. Achilles became depressed and refused to fight. With Achilles not fighting, the Greeks began to lose the battle. The greatest warrior of Troy was Hector, and no one could stop him. Achilles' best friend was a soldier named Patroclus. Patroclus convinced Achilles to lend him his armor. Patroclus entered the battle dressed as Achilles. Thinking that Achilles was back, the Greek army was inspired and began to fight harder. Just when things were improving for the Greeks, Patroclus met up with Hector. The two warriors engaged in battle. With the help of the god Apollo, Hector killed Patroclus and took Achilles' armor. Achilles then rejoined the battle. In order to avenge his friend's death, he met Hector on the battlefield, and after a long fight, he defeated him. Lots of names going on there, many of which I said incorrectly, but the gist of this whole battle right here, if I wanted to add a little quote just to keep myself straight, was that Achilles' best friend was killed, so Achilles joined the battle, even though he was sad about his love interest being taken from him. He needed to avenge. And I know you guys love the Avengers, so if you're avenging your friend's death, it means that you want to fight for them. You have to make it right. So he wanted to avenge his best friend. And he won, if you missed that. He defeated the other side. All right, so that's what kind of just happened. The Achilles heel. I'm going to highlight this. This is a subheader for us. And I have a little background knowledge on the Achilles heel, so I know that this is important. Achilles continued to battle the Trojans, and it seemed like he could not be killed. However, the Greek god Apollo knew his weakness. When Paris of Troy shot an arrow at Achilles, Apollo guided it so that it struck Achilles on the heel. Achilles eventually died from the wound. Today, the term Achilles heel is used to describe a point of weakness that could lead to one's downfall. So, what we wanted to do today is find the overall message of a story. This story here was Greek mythology, so there's like battles involved and there's love involved, but if you did not know, the overall message of this story is this last sentence right here. The story, the myth of Achilles, is to teach us a lesson that if you have an Achilles heel, like your one downfall, that even if you're great at something, your Achilles heel is how you could be defeated. That is the story of Achilles. So I highlighted this right here, and I will add another comment because this section is the message of the story. The author here, if you were to take away anything from this story, he doesn't want you to remember all those names of the people in the battle or the person that Achilles loved or anything like that. He wants you to know, he or she wants you to know this message right here, that the Achilles heel is used to describe a point of weakness that could lead to one's downfall. And I'm trying to think of a good example for you. Like, let me think how I could apply Achilles heel to something that makes more sense for you. Maybe you could say that in teaching, my Achilles heel, my downfall is chaos, right? Like I love our classroom. I love you guys, but you know that what takes me down is like chaos and noise. That's my Achilles heel. If everyone is at a normal level, like we're on it. If everyone's crazy, I'm off of it. So that's my Achilles heel. That's my example for myself in teaching, which is hard when you teach fifth graders because y'all are always loud. But okay, so let's go over to this. Now you're going to have the clue number 1. I'm going to type it right here. So you'll already have this clue. And if we're trying to draw a conclusion between these two passages to find the central message of them both, we have to know both of their central messages. So I'm going to put in this very last one because I know that this is it. Hi, John. Okay, so this, copy, Then I'm going to go to this, paste. All right. So the central message of the first text was this clue right here. Eventually, Achilles died from the wound. Today, the term Achilles heel is used to describe a point of weakness that could lead to one's downfall. Now you guys are going to read Battle of the Brains, and I'm not going to do it for you, but I just want you to pay attention in this story to what I did. They're going to tell you a story, a fictional story about two characters, but there's going to be a message that the author wants you to learn from this, and it has to do with the brain. So pay attention to that. There's all this stuff in there, but what is that message that the author wants you to learn from the story? Once you find it, then I want you to put your clue right here, all right? And then if you don't have a third clue, that's okay. If you find something in the text that you think supports this, you can add it, but don't worry about that. After you find your clue for the article, I want you to focus on this conclusion. So I made a little note for you right here. Remember, your goal is to write a conclusion that integrates the central message of the two texts. So the word integrate means to mix. So once you learn the central message of the second text, like what we should all remember, and then you take a look back at the central message of this text, you're going to write a little conclusion here. And I can start it for you with a little stem, but I would say the author of these two passages wanted to teach us valuable lessons in life, which are ... Okay? This would be a good way to integrate the two because we know that the author is trying to teach us a valuable lesson, and then we can say what those lessons are. You do not have to use my stem if you don't want to, that's fine, but this kind of sets you up, okay? This conclusion right here is just as important as this clue right here. So when you turn it in, make sure the pink clue is filled in and the conclusion is filled in, and if you don't have anything in blue, that is okay. All right, guys? That's it for today. We do have science, and remember, there is a Zoom, so I can't wait to see you this afternoon. I'll talk to you later. Bye.